all the tools, no matter what they are, they're all trying to do the same thing, surface the very best information that resolves whatever someone's looking for. However, that doesn't mean the information I haven't published is useless. It's not. It's there to fuel AI, because AI is pulling it from somewhere. Building the authority is always going to be a key. We ended up just taking transcript of all his podcasts and publishing. He had them all on his website, and he got immediate results straight away. He won a $140,000 client in Brisbane. They were just having a conversation with their ChatGPT. They said they searched for who is the best consultant of his type in Australia, and he showed up.
Hey Wes, thank you so much for joining this podcast. I really appreciate it and looking forward to it.
It's fantastic to be here, Josh. I've done a lot of podcasts lately, and no one from Victoria, just down the road from me in Geelong. So it's nice to be talking to a local.
Yeah, it is. It's really cool. I love the stuff that you're doing. Not many people get to call it tradies in the business that you're in of construction, and bringing sort of AI into that. A lot of people, especially Australians, don't really know about that. My school is sort of starting to slowly bring AI into learning and education. I feel like AI is starting to catch up in Australia at a good pace. But I guess for you, like for the audience that's listening, could you just provide a background of who you are, what you do, and whereabouts you could see the value for them listening at home?
Yeah, so I run a little digital agency, Uplift 360. So we do websites, we do SEO. We're calling it Search Everywhere Optimisation these days, because it's not just Google, but we can get into that. But do it for the trades and construction industry is our niche. It wasn't always niched as tightly as it is now, but over the course of years, I'd realised that the majority of our best clients were in that similar niche. So really focused in on that. But it's been an interesting whirlwind of a ride, really. The business has been running over 20 years now, and it's always felt like an industry that's evolved really fast over that time. I've always said that if I stopped doing what I'm doing and came back in a year's time, it would feel like I haven't kept up. I'd have to learn so much but we're in it daily, so we keep on top of things. But these days with AI and the way in which software is changing and evolving so fast and the capabilities, we need to stay on top of that, particularly for ourselves as a business, but also to help our clients along that journey as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think there's a lot of good points there. For the people like listening at home, if they're trying to like find a niche and they're not really concerned about this AI, like based on your experience, I think they say the riches are in the niches. I think that's an interesting thing like to think about, like how there's so many things that people can go after and chase. Based on your experience, you've got lots of experience. Like what's something that people might be missing when they're trying to like start something properly?
Yeah, well, I think it's going to be more true than ever to really be a specialist in the core thing that you do, and niching really helps you to do that. So you get known for a certain industry. So you're doing whatever you do, but you're doing it for a particular type of person. So those networks of people will start to find you and start to know that you're doing what they need. And I think with the capabilities of the tech piece being solved for a lot of people more easily now. So we build websites as the primary thing we do, the biggest part of the business, building websites, designing websites. Over the years, that has been a technical task. These days, it's obviously very clear that these things are getting simpler and simpler. I mean, we've got vibe coding of full apps and those sorts of things. The design side, we still feel as though you need that human touch and flair to design something appropriately. But it's pretty clear that if we just relied on bringing a technical skill set to the world, then we would be very vulnerable to closing up shop. And in fact, I had a business valuation 3 years ago, roughly just over now. And the business valuation came in a hell of a lot lower than I had hoped for. I thought it would have been. And that was because the valuer suggested AI was a massive threat to our industry. And so whilst the business had done nothing wrong and the numbers were always good and there was incremental improvement each year and running for a long time. So there was a lot of good signals in there to value a business. Because AI brings uncertainty to the industry, he simply just couldn't put a very high figure on the valuation. So,
yeah,
that was a really big wake up call for me at the time and a bit of a kick in the teeth, really. but really made me focus in on thinking about, okay, what does the future look like for my industry? How can I better
Mm.
serve our clients? And that led to a whole bunch of things. So niching in a bit tighter, thinking about the software and the process and getting the work done more efficiently, which
Yeah,
continues to evolve, but also how we serve the clients as well.
yeah, because the way I think about it is like not in one day the entire job's going to change completely. There's going to be a gradual shift of like this type of stuff that you do, and they're like for teachers, like they're not going to be completely working on teaching the student as AI comes in and helps that part. They're going to be helping on the human side of it. And for like marketing, there's a lot of like personalized outreach and stuff that you where it's like not like the type of work that you're trying to do is changing, if you know what I mean. So I think for websites, if you're
Yeah.
going down on that one, what type of branding stuff have you seen that's worked best with AI and what's not worked best with AI? And where can you create a hybrid approach that works best for the niche that you're trying to build?
Yeah, so when you're using these tools, and people will often use it for the content for their websites, for example, and there's that
Mm.
real risk of creating really generic content because you're relying too much on the large language models to do the heavy lifting and the thinking for you. So it's really got to be your authentic voice and opinions and thoughts and written in a style that's yours. So getting the prompts right so everything's consistent for you, but and to feed the message so it's your thought going into the tool and then coming out in a more polished and refined way. And that can streamline a whole bunch of things. It's an interesting time in the world. My daughter, she's 13, and they're discouraged to use any form of AI. So ChatGPT is the
Oh,
one the kids are on. Everyone's pretty much on that. But she knows the teachers use it because they'll often provide resources and notes and whatnot and reference websites. Got the little ChatGPT tag in the URL link that they
oh,
provide. So it's, and that creates frustration for my daughter, and it must for all the students that they're saying one thing, they're saying to the students they shouldn't use it and shouldn't rely on it and all this stuff, but then they're using it themselves. So that's a problem. That's
yeah.
creating a disconnect in what the reality is. The reality is everyone's using it, but you've got to use it in the right way. So um, you don't want to erode trust and authenticity, your own voice and opinions. They're at risk.
Exactly. And if you want to build up a knowledge that you can't take away, because once it does, like, it is a big equalizer. If everybody has these models, you need to have something that like sets you apart. So, I mean, even for you, like, you've had like a lot of experience. Like, what would you say the things and the qualities that you have for people that are thinking, I'm not going to be useful anymore with these tools? Like, based on your experience, like, what is the stuff that you have and like the experience and lessons that you've learned that have helped you to create a like profession that has been pretty defensible at the times.
Yeah, well, that's exactly the thing. The experience that you bring that only a human can do, I think, at
Mm.
this stage, that only a human can
Yeah.
do, is the value. I think the role of a technician, particularly in the computer-based job, if you sit behind a desk for your job and it's just computer tasks and it's fairly repetitive, well, you're certainly eventually replaceable. But the value that you can bring is the insights and the understanding of and the nuance of a human interaction. So for us, we're working with trades and construction people. And so they're pragmatic, practical, hands-on people. They're on the tools oftentimes.
Yeah.
They're not really computer people. So it's my job to speak to them and glean the insights and understanding about their business so we can communicate effectively on their behalf. And so we need to bed down their style and their voice and their opinions and thoughts and ideas, anything that makes them unique in the industry, because the unique aspects are the things that you need to speak about because the generic, well, that's easily covered. But those little touch points, those little thoughts and ideas that they bring, that only they bring, they're the important things that bring value to the content when we're thinking about the content in the website. Yeah, I think there was a great book many years ago, E-Myth, and it spoke about technicians as opposed to entrepreneurs and the different mindsets around that. So it was Michael Gerber, the author, and he sort of spoke about how we start in business as technicians oftentimes because we just start doing the thing we've always done as an employee. But that's not the way to grow and build a business. You really need that creative vision and entrepreneurial spirit and to set up systems and so on. All these things you don't kind of learn at school, which would
Yeah.
be wonderful if we did learn them at school, but you kind of got to learn them the hard way sometimes.
Yeah, no, it is quite concerning. I think one of the things to think about is like systems thinking and like thinking about the entire thing. There was a book that I
Yeah.
read recently, like Demand Side Sales, and that basically talks about when you actually think about the problem and you think about the actual thing that you're solving for, you can get quite in
Yeah.
like a trap of thinking if you're only thinking from supply side, which is like, how can I tick these internal boxes versus like, what is
Yeah.
the thing that I'm actually needing to solve and what's the actual thing? That was interesting. When I had a podcast the other day, and he does an IT consultancy, and he got a client that worked for a grocery store, and they automated the entire checkout, but the customers at the end of the day only wanted like fresh tomatoes. So like, how do you think about it from that perspective, and how do you like learn to think creatively in that lens is interesting. And I haven't
Yeah.
read that book. I've got it in my book list, but was that sort of the angle that they were taking that one to sort of think of things like in a broad general sense?
Yeah, it's systemized. It was really about systems, that particular book. It was a long time
Yeah,
ago that I read it now. It's quite an old book, but the
yeah,
principles would still definitely be true and worthwhile. It talks about building out like org charts and all sorts of things that if you don't have any business training, it's a really great starting point. So yeah, definitely, I think that's the way to get started.
yeah.
It's kind of I had to learn everything the hard way. I certainly was one that started business I started graphic design multimedia at uni in Ballarat in the
Okay.
90s. So when in my career journey, that no one spoke to me about becoming a web designer because small businesses didn't have websites. Well, not every small business at that stage. But by the time I started in the industry in marketing, I got my first job in a marketing company, and they'd never designed a website before. So this is how far marketing has come since. I feel really old when I say that because they're an award-winning marketing company, never designed a website. Now these days, pretty much the majority of marketing is done online. That's where we're all spending our time. So that was a big shift when I started in my career path. I won a website design project and they said, right, you're the young guy, you better figure out how to build this site. So I did that and loved it. I love the technical and the creative merged together, those two sets of thinking.
Well,
So it was perfect for me. But so that was for me, that was an uncharted territory. It was something I hadn't experienced, website design and development. But that seems insignificant in comparison to the journey that we're all on now with AI. Everyone's talking about AI and what that might mean
yeah,
because I mean, there's a lot of fearful stuff. People who are really high end experts are quite negative sometimes. Some are really positive. Who knows, really? All we can do is apply the tools as best we can, but to remember they are only tools and to remember what the outcome is that a client's trying to achieve, which is probably going to remain the same.
yeah. I'm just curious, what was the negative things that you've spoken about, and who was that? Like, what kind of people are interested in that?
In the negative things, sorry,
Yeah, what people did you speak to that had a negative like viewpoint on this?
I was just listening to YouTube. So there was, I think it was Diary of a CEO where they had different experts. I can't
Oh yeah,
remember the
that
names. Do you remember?
um
Did you see that one?
yeah, there's quite a lot few of them. They did the AI 2027 report.
Yeah, I've read that too. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I've
I
read the
think
full report, but I've had heard commentary on it as well.
Yeah, part of it is just like trying to get fear into people so they can actually like do it. But there is a lot of concern around it. It is quite interesting, especially for something like marketing that's quite like very personal and stuff. Like there is quite a concern with that.
Yeah, well, any change is opportunity. So there's always when there's change, there's winners and there's losers. Unfortunately, there's losers. So I mean, all you can do is try and focus on being one of the people who do well out of the opportunity. Because anytime there's change, some of the bigger, clumsy companies who can't change very fast, they're probably more vulnerable to making some losses or losing business. Whereas a nimble, sort of forward thinking, progressive, smaller company who can change and adapt really fast has a massive upper hand in a lot of ways. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And obviously, I mean, government departments, they're so slow at rolling anything out. If anyone's
Yeah.
working in the government, their job's not going by AI anytime soon because that's just not how the Australian government works. I don't know about the other places in the world.
Yeah, nah, I could definitely see that. And like even New South Wales as well, that one's pretty bad if you've been around there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
Oh, yeah.
100% agree. And from like your business, like what are you trying to do to make that like forward thinking stuff happen for you at the moment? What are you like
Yeah, so
practical stuff that you've learned, you know?
we've done search engine optimization for many years.
Mm.
So if people don't know, that's search engine optimization is an effort to rank your keywords as highly as you can in Google. And so you choose your keywords that you wanted to target. And for us, it might be plumber Melbourne, for example, and a bunch of other phrases along those lines. And so
Cool.
you target a set of keywords and you try and rank as highly as you could in Google, and you would see the ranks improve and you would see the traffic improve as a consequence of the ranking improving. And then you would see the return on investment, and you could easily report that for clients because it was so linear and everyone was pretty much using Google to find businesses. But now there's so many other platforms that people are using. And I mean, even people who are probably not so progressive are using ChatGPT now. It's remarkable who's I see using it. So they, instead of jumping on Google, if they're just researching that they need a particular something or looking to buy something, they'll be researching their own ways. And because those tools don't rely upon sending traffic to a website, they're pulling the information off online into their platform. They're trying to keep people engaged in their platforms, of course.
Yeah, well, what did you
There's
think
less.
about the ChatGPT Atlas that came out today?
Yeah, I haven't had a look at that. Maybe you can tell me more about that.
Yeah, well, I've been using Perplexity Comet. If people don't know, it's like a browser.
Yeah,
So there's a big shift at the moment from like search-based stuff. And I was listening to an article from Nicholas Thompson, who's the CEO of Atlantic, about like how search is really changing up journalism. And there's the sort of practical stuff behind it. One of them is ChatGPT Atlas that came out today, which is a
brilliant.
browser. So instead of like you type up a link and then like lots of blue links come up and you have to find out your own way, you just type in a question and it gets it solved for you. And that's what's come
Yeah.
out today. So what are you thinking about that for search engine optimization? I'd be like quite curious to think.
Yeah. Well, all the tools, no matter what they are, they're all trying to do the same thing. And it's even the same as what Google were trying to do, although their methodology seems archaic now,
Mm,
but it's to surface the very best information that resolves whatever someone's looking for.
mm.
That's the long-term view we're working with clients on. So to publish quality content that addresses a whole bunch of things that are conversational. So once upon a time, people were searching pretty crude, just keywords, but now people understand, the tools understand the full context of a full sentence. So they will search for a full sentence and then they'll back it up with more sentences and nuance. So publishing quality content that's in depth and substantial, that touches on all these things, typically through, for us, the strategy is through a blog or news insights, some people choose to call it. I think no matter what it is, so this Atlas tool, it sounds pretty remarkable. It sounds a lot like the Perplexity tool as well,
Comment.
is it?
Yeah, I've
Or
got that one. It's a
yeah,
browser by like similar AI company.
yeah. So that it seems clear to me that we've got lots of tools trying to figure out how we use this technology in a greater way. It's going to be really exciting to see where it all lands. And if
Yeah.
there's one big winner, at the moment, it feels like so many
Mm.
entities are trying their best to be the leader, and that's part of what the argument is against it, is that even large nations will be battling it out, and so there's a reluctance to slow it down because everyone wants to be the
Mm.
first, and therefore the legal parameters and so on, they're just so far behind. So we don't know this, the safety and the security and the legal parameters
Yeah,
that
but I guess
all
like
this
from the
stuff plays in.
person that's like trying to get that plumber Melbourne rank higher in like search, higher in
Yeah.
artificial intelligence, is there a difference between the engines of artificial intelligence versus the engines of Google search? Or is that Google search artificial intelligence as well?
Yeah, so Google's falling into line with the same. Google have had AI there's been AI around for many, many years now. It's just
Yeah.
that we haven't sort of coined it, and the large language models in the way in which ChatGPT changed, brought awareness and brought it available to everybody to use. Super
Mm.
simple. The bit, it was kind of archaic and sort of clunky, but they're getting better and
What's the
better.
process of managing that?
Yeah, so it's really difficult. So we used to be able to easily, just because it was just Google really that we were tracking. And so you could
Mm.
see, and because it relied on a click, so you could see that all
Yeah.
improving. But now brands are getting mentioned and people don't even realize that their brand is being mentioned. They might see, you can see in Google Analytics a little bit of traffic comes through ChatGPT, for example. But that's only a portion of how many times their brand has shown up, potentially far more than what they're aware of, because there's no reason to visit the website. They got their answer. I mean, I've been on a few podcasts and I know a couple of them have mentioned they didn't look at my profile or anything that I sent them. They just jumped on their AI of choice and they just said, "Give me a quick summary of this guy and give me a few questions to ask." That's where we're at. They didn't look at my. I'm on Podmatch. That's how we met.
Yeah.
They yeah, there's been two that said that to me so far, and I suspect there's more that don't even look at the materials I gave them. They're just pulling it from the tool that they choose to use. However, that doesn't mean the information I haven't published in the various platforms is useless. It's there to fuel AI, because AI is pulling it from somewhere, be the information you're publishing about your business and your brand, and so it might be picked up from one place and not the other, but it's just a different way of thinking about it. It's kind of like, so we train our own AI. If you've got the paid for subscription and stuff, it's got more capability, but that's training our own for our own preferences. But you can train AI, all the AIs out there, if you publishing in all the right places about your business and your brand, but you're answering client needs, so you show up at the right time.
Yeah, well, I guess for AI, in my personal like research of it, it seems like a numbers game. Like if you just post more and more content, then like the more and more chances that you'll be picked up in the like the weights and stuff. And so is that what it's sort of changing to? Like more content and more stuff out there seems to be getting picked up by these AI algorithms for the search and ranking and those things.
Yeah, so the authority that you can build, so they're going to make a determination of what websites have authority or not. And so a small business's website doesn't hold much authority just on its own merit, because like they don't know whether it's trustworthy or what. But once you're building insights about your company across online platforms wherever you possibly can, I mean, Google reviews have been powerful. Anything that's can't be manipulated too easily is really important, because these days everyone knows they can't necessarily trust content because they don't even know if a human's read it. They know someone's published it, but they don't know where it's come from and if it's authentically created by a person. So there's a lot of lack of trust. I mean, we see that even with videos and so on. Like, it's crazy the videos being produced, but there's a real
Yes.
pushback in all of that. And it feels as though a lot of people are just getting sick and tired of it. They just want the real thing. But it's a hard beast to stop now. It's out there and it's only going to get more sophisticated as we progress. So building the authority is always going to be a key. If you can get published in, it's kind of like old school PR, to get your company or brand mentioned wherever you possibly can online in reputable sites will be a positive.
Okay, yeah, so the source of it is interesting. 'Cause, I've seen something else, like if you post like podcast transcripts into Google, you can get like a lot of search from there. You can post like lots and lots of stuff in there, but like from the right
Yeah.
sources is interesting.
Yeah, well, yeah, so that's right. And so we help a lot of clients with being found online. So there was one, he had a podcast. He actually has stopped the podcast a couple of years ago, I think. I can't remember, but we ended up just taking transcript of all his podcasts, previous ones, and publishing. He had them all on his website, but publishing the transcript underneath. And
Hmm.
so he got immediate results straight away, because it was all content, but it was just created it in a manner which is more easily found and read and understood quickly by the large language models. He won a $140,000 client in Brisbane. He's down here in Geelong, just across the road from in the office across there. Yeah, he didn't know how they found him. There was a plumbing company that found him. They were just having a conversation with their ChatGPT and they were looking for the very best. They said they searched for who is the best consultant of his type in Australia. And he showed up. ChatGPT said he was the best. So they gave him a call and closed the contracts. That's kind of where it's at right now. If you can be recommended by the AI platforms, that's a huge win.
Yeah. Wow, that is interesting because I guess people could go down like the design route of making the website really nice, or they could go down like the content route for people. So like if they're trying to get seen online, as these AIs sort of pick up, and I don't know, ChatGPT will start like indexing links so you can buy, like, if it's not a service, it's a product, you could be able to buy stuff in there soon. That'll be interesting
Yeah,
to think about. But yeah, so
yeah,
like from people like trying to get found online, trying to get their products and services to people in this new era where there's lots of like uncertainty, it seems like content is the right, like just putting more out there, more valuable, more insights, reputable sources.
yeah. And so you control the areas can control firstly. So your own website, your own social platforms, but your website, I believe, is a priority pillar because it is all your own. And so it's not a noisy space like social media. You might publish there, but it's in with all your competitors and a whole bunch of other distractions as well. So once
Mm,
you can draw people out of social into your website, I think that's a really key thing for your marketing strategy. But there's kind of two sides of the website content perspective. So there's your main sales pages, which are clear, concise, compelling. They're just trying to get an inquiry or engagement with the end potential client. Whereas the blog or the news or the insights is an opportunity to add lots and lots of content that addresses lots of conversational topics around your business. For example, so I had a plumbing issue a little while back. The toilet was just running all the time, which was frustrating. So I thought maybe I can fix this myself. I jumped on ChatGPT, tried to get some advice. It, it was too much for me. I couldn't figure it out. So then the next thing I asked for is a local plumber in the area who might be able to do it.
mm.
And
And it's
that's
done.
as simple as that. Sometimes we're worried about the content we're publishing being too boring or bland in our news or blog, but it doesn't matter because they'll be surfacing the right information to the right people, and they're only going to get better at that. So whilst fixing a broken toilet is boring for everybody, for most of us, it's not boring for the one person who's got a broken toilet. And if it was worse, maybe it was leaking all over the floor and it was a real emergency. Well, that topic is not boring for that one person needing that thing right away in the middle of the night, and they need someone to fix it right away. So it's about a matter of thinking about your content, and not everyone's reading all of it, but having substantial content that addresses a number of needs for your marketplace. That's and leave the tools to determine which piece of the content needs to surface.
Yeah, I feel like that's like a lot of wisdom. Is there any story that you've had, like building the business of like getting marketing out there, just the sort of stuff that you've had as you've developed your business? I'm just curious to know because it's also marketing, but it's also people trying to start the entrepreneurial journey. And I know you've got a lot of experience there as well.
Yeah, well, and as I said, I learned really the hard way. So, I mean, the first few years of business were really hard. I earned a hell of a lot less than being employed
Mm.
initially. And fortunately, I got through and I learned some skills. But the I think the thing about just getting started and learning in the smallest ways you can. So start as small as you can and learn to improve. So in continuous improvement. So I was fortunate that I could start my business just part time, really. So it was freelance business, really. So just doing night times, really. And my full time employer was happy for me to do that. And then I dropped it the full time work that I had, the employment down to 3 days, and then eventually full time as my own working for myself, and then ended up hiring team and so on. So that gave me the opportunity to learn a whole bunch of things. I mean, I wasn't very good at the sales side of things. I was more of the guy who sat in the behind closed doors building websites and coding and stuff. I'd only been to a couple of client meetings and I wasn't even speaking at those. I was just attending with the sales person at the time. So I only got a chance to observe a couple of sales meetings or client facing meetings. And then all of a sudden I'm running my own business and trying to figure out how to do quotes and all this stuff. I think that's a real plus because these days, if there's something I don't know how to do, uh, I just search like everybody else on ChatGPT. I ask the question and more or less the answer is pretty close to exactly what I need. And
Mm.
so we're fixing websites all the time. So we do WordPress websites and there's just so many plugins and they don't always play nicely together. And so if there's a conflict or something, it's probably known out there by somebody and someone's written about it already. So I just jump on ChatGPT and ask the question and pops the solution pretty quickly usually. And what might have given me 4 hours of headaches trying to figure it out, it might be done in 4 minutes. So I think people starting out in business, there's a huge plus in that to be able to use the tools effectively to fill in the gaps in your own knowledge at the time and to learn on the fly.
Yeah, well, it's definitely part of it is the tools, but I guess when you were freelancing, would you have focused more time spending on like the client side of stuff on the sales, or would you have continued like honing that technical skill? What do you reckon if you had to go back and think about, oh, why was I
Um,
not reaching the goals that I want to?
I was really confident in my technical capabilities and skill set. It's just that I wasn't getting enough business, not enough sales, and because I just didn't know what I was doing. I think the best thing that I did in those early days was I joined a networking group. It was a really structured networking group, and it made every member needed to stand up each week and present their business for 60 seconds, I think it was. And so you bring a slightly different angle to your business for the 60 seconds each week, so it was something fresh, but it was always kind of in the same line. So it gave me an opportunity to think through my business and how to present. It was a great practice every week to think about what I would say to the group of 30, 40, whatever it might be in the room. So
Okay,
I
that's
would say, yeah, I would definitely have, I started that fairly early into the journey. I would have started day one if I had have known it even existed. But these days, I mean, things like this, any time you get a chance to present about your business, it gives you an opportunity to distill down your own thoughts and put it in a structured set of ideas that you can communicate to others. It just helps embed in yourself what you actually do as
I
well
see.
and the value that it provides.
Yeah, so like storytelling and that sort of stuff that like the soft skills per se you would have focused a bit more on.
Yeah, and so I think those have become my biggest strengths, really. I mean, if it might have been, it would be 10 years ago now, I was featured in the Herald Sun for storytelling. The title of the article was in the business section of the Herald Sun, more to the story it was. And so that came around simply from a blog post I had written about storytelling. So it was just one small concept I was starting to think about in business. And so I blogged about it, and the journalist picked it up from the Herald Sun and gave me a call. And she was talking to a few people about the topic, and she liked my point of view and published mine plus a few thoughts from the other people. But it was my big photo in there. So it seemed to be mostly about me, which is nice of the lady. I think part of it was too because I was prepared with professional photos, not for journalists, but I said, what do you need to make a great story for the Herald Sun? What is it that you need from me? And she said, well, it would be great if I had some good photos. I said, well, funny you should say that. I've got a great photo of myself presenting in a small boardroom with a whiteboard, etc. And she said, that's perfect. So send it through. And so
Oh wow.
that was a good question to ask, and it made because I had the resources, and she was like most journalists, they're kind of time poor. So give them what they need so they can make a great story, and it worked out really well. So yeah,
Okay.
so that was about storytelling and kind of that kind of aspect of my business. I'm a really relational human person. Like I like to connect to people and talk to people and stuff like that.
Mm.
So those skills I didn't have from a business context, but I soon realized how to do it and to do it in my own natural way, so I can connect with people.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that's a really good angle for like people that are starting out, just focusing on like building those relationships, talking to people, and getting that stuff that people don't often think about. I'm just curious, what about the storytelling was it that you had? Was it something good for the website business, or was it like completely separate thing?
The story for the article, the angle was just about using stories in the content within your website. So it was as
Yeah.
simple as that. So I mean, it was only a small thought. It was just a thought bubble, really, as a blog
Yeah.
post. It was just something, because you're always coming up with new angles and so on. And it just happened to be what she was looking for at the time with a story of her own. So she wanted to introduce a few thoughts from mine. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a nice little ego boost as well. I don't know what it did for the business. I mean, there was a small bump in website traffic at the time. But
Yeah.
yeah, it just got me thinking about business in a whole new way as well. I realized I was onto something.
Yeah, have you seen Clef? He has a thing about flip the script. He does some stuff, article that I read about like website storytelling.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I'd have. Yeah. Is he local for us? Where is he?
No, he's based in the US, but he was really interesting. I read an article on how to tell storytelling in websites, and obviously I'm not like the professional here, but he was talking about like pitching at the croc brain, and like that's really important to flip
Yeah.
the
Okay.
patterns of people, and that was sort of like interesting for me. I was like always thinking people buy on like logic and rationale, but like taking them out of that frame and giving them something else to think about
Yeah.
would create more of an impact than if you just give them all the arguments.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too. We all get so close to our businesses, and we help with a lot of people in this journey as well. You get so close to your own thing that you get locked into the process. And it's as if the process, that this is how we do the thing to get the end result. But realistically, the end customer doesn't really care that much about the process. They just want to know it's reliable and consistent, but the end thing is what matters and what that means to them. So helping trades and construction, I mean, it might be a builder, for example, that we're working on. So it's about, and if they're building family homes, so it's about that dream of people living in the beautiful home that they've always imagined that they might live in, as opposed to how you set up a frame and how you do the tiling, or all that stuff that the builder has to understand all the technical things, but the people don't really care. They just want to know it's a quality job, it's all done correctly, and it's going to last the distance, but it's going to be that beautiful, amazing home that they've always dreamed of. So there's a story in that. And so that it's probably common threads of that story that people might relate to. So you can show examples, case studies, other people who might be similar to the next client. So your best future clients probably look like your best clients right now.
Yeah, and it's so important as well to take you out of that supply thing thinking of like, oh, I've just always done this. These are the mental models of how we've done things with this
Yeah.
new technology that's coming in. It's not just technology. In Australia, there's like stuff like aging population, that's a big issue. There's things like climate change. There's like a whole bunch of things that are impacting the ecosystem at the moment. And if you need to get past that barrier of like thinking in like supply terms and doing that, that's what's going to take
Yeah.
you a lot further than just normal stuff.
Yeah, for sure. That book that you mentioned, I'll have to look that up. Maybe put it in the show notes so
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
can look it up later as well. Yeah, it's always good to listen to. I listen to audio books these days. I don't read them so much. My old eyes are getting a bit tired to read in the evenings.
Oh, yeah.
So
What do you listen to at the moment?
I use Spotify for the Oh, is that what you mean?
Yeah. Oh, and like what types of books are you reading?
I just was going through. It's an older book, but rework. I've just started that again. I listened to it a few years ago now, but I thought I'd just listen to it again because I feel like the reworking philosophy is really important these days with things changing so fast, to have the capability to quickly evolve and adapt into something new. It just feels like I thought I'd revisit. That was written way before AI was changing everything, but I think those principles of being flexible as a small business are really going to stand out. So I thought I'd just go over it again and see what I could apply to myself, to my own business, but also to help the clients we serve as well with some of that thinking.
Yeah. Do you have any other books that you read when you were young that really helped you to reach like those?
Yeah. Well, probably my favorite book for a number of reasons, The 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. That was probably the biggest game changer book that I read. The style of it, it was kind of young and fun and energetic, and I really just liked the style of it. So that was part of it.
Mm.
But the idea of not needing to not needing things to be difficult to be successful. So the potential that you maybe don't need to spend so many hours on a thing to get a great outcome. And that was part of it. So it's time management and so on, in a new kind of way, but also the yeah, just a whole bunch of ideas about building a business that would support your life, like your lifestyle and so on, and what you wanted to achieve, and
Mm.
not just the business for the business sake. Yeah, it's a trap you can fall into if you start a business and set up something. It can be all consuming because it kind of needs to be in the early days, because you just need to get it going because businesses fail all the time. So you need to invest quite a bit in it in the initial outset, but then over the course of time, like where I am right now, I don't need to work the crazy hours I used to do in the early days.
That's the
The
goal.
4 Hour Work Week set up a whole bunch of principles around that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I honestly think like the aspiration of that is what keeps me like going towards that, and it's what people achieve, but it often comes along with a lot of work that gets you there. Just sort of to wrap this one up, I think there's been a lot of great stuff that you've mentioned. I really like the idea of the search engine and how to get yourself out there with giving insights and that sort of stuff. People that are trying to get themselves out there online as much as possible. Um, could you
Yeah.
give them some like final thoughts just for them like rethinking the mental models and like what they should be doing and thinking about when trying to put themselves online at the moment?
Yeah, well, the authenticity and uniqueness is the real key. That's anything you can do that stands out, and it might even be a little bit contrarian in your industry. So if there's something in your whatever industry you choose to work in, if there's a way in which everyone else does it a certain way, but you believe it's better to be done some other way, or the outcome is slightly different, or your set of principles is different to everybody else, that's amazing because it creates great content and it'll attract the right kind of people. It might repel some people, and that's good too. It'll attract the right kind of people into your world and your business. So I think to be a little bit contrarian and to stand out, it's worth the risk, taking that risk to stand out and be a little bit different. I think that's going to be the key to people who make a success, particularly in this new AI world with so much generic, bland information out there.
I honestly think that's great. Definitely listen to that. Is there any way that people can continue to follow you, Wes, as you continue to make more content?
Yeah, well, the website I'm publishing regularly in there with new insights and tips. So uplift360.com.au, and you can also connect on all the socials that you would typically expect there. Even my personal LinkedIn, I'll accept anybody who connects with reaches out on LinkedIn as well.
Okay. Well, that's awesome, Wes. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate that, and I think that message of authenticity at the moment is just so important. If people don't really take that seriously, it's just such a great thing for them to take home. So I thank you so much for coming on, Wes. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Josh. I've enjoyed it. Good to speak to someone from Melbourne.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks.
Cool. Thanks.
All right. Sorry, that was a bit